For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to StratNewsGlobal. I'm Nitin Gokhale. The next door neighbor to India, Sri Lanka, a paradise in itself, is in trouble. What are the reasons? What is the way forward and what is the current situation there is something that we're going to talk about on this program, this special broadcast this evening. And joining me today straight from Colombo is Dr. Harinda Vidanage, a noted academic and strategic affairs analyst who's based in Colombo, a long-time observer, of course, of Sri Lankan politics, Sri Lankan economic situation. He's going to give us the update on what's happening there. Welcome to this program, Dr. Vidanage. Nice to see you here, but not a very nice situation right now in your country.
Thank you for having me, Nitin. Yes, unfortunately, things are a little bleak at the moment. Sri Lanka is going through a phase that probably many in living memory, does not have. Of course, Sri Lanka has seen two left-wing insurrections as well as the LTT problem. So the Sri Lankan body politic has, weathered certain very turbulent and very violent political storms, and this is a little different from that. This is pretty much driven by a new generation of thinking activists, the techno-mediated spheres, the political narratives, a new generation of youngsters on streets, as well as a cross-cultural, cross-class representation in protests, which are very spontaneous, that are erupting since the last 48 hours. So, and it's not violence. There is no state. State is not unleashing any form of violence. There is no deaths in protest. There are certain arrests, but it's somewhat peaceful, but very powerful.
Powerful and also painful. I mean, this economic condition today. But before we get to that, what is the latest? One hears that the entire cabinet under Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa resigned on Sunday night, and President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has now decided to reconstitute the ministry. So, what can you tell us? What is happening right now? Is the same set of ministers being reshuffled, or there are some new faces that have come into the cabinet?
There are only 4 cabinet ministers who have been named up to now. The most notable out of that is the former Justice Minister, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa confidant Ali Sabri. He's been brought in as the finance minister, which is a bit of a surprise. But one of the major demands from the protesters has been the portfolio of finance ministry, as well as the office of the central bank governor. So both have been changed, especially the removal of Mr. President Rajapaksa is a key indicator that the president has somewhat listened to the public demands, and that is very significant to see. You don't normally see a Rajapaksa, a powerful minister, being removed in this way. So things are pretty provisional and interim at the moment. So just 4 ministers, and the president had put a call out for all parties to nominate or to come up, that he will accommodate any party representative as and when as fit to the new cabinet that he's going to set up, a provisional cabinet, and looks like a provisional government. A very new experience in Sri Lankan political history. Since independence, we haven't seen such development. Of course, we have seen shifts in governments and takeovers, but a voluntary resignation of an entire cabinet overnight, and this decision was taken around midnight last night. So it's quite spontaneous. But there are things that have to come into place a lot, Nitin, because I think the demands of the demonstrators as well as the political narrative is shifting. This started as a campaign that was fueled by what I called a serious energy crisis. Energy, when I say energy, I mean, the most immediate. This is the catalyst of the demonstration is energy. When I say
Right.
energy,
Yes.
gas, cooking gas, LP gas, fuel, as well as electricity. Sri Lankans have never been used to being in the dark over 10, for 10 hours, 14 hours in their entire, living memory. Even
Right.
during war times and all, we had power cuts, but not this significant. So this is like those situations in Nepal where Nepal went into 16 to 20 hour power cuts. We never had that. Sri Lankans have never experienced such things, and three together because people. I mean, that is something which is, as you said, painful. I think this pain and anger is driving the protest more than, of course, there are the ancillary, I mean, the other issues of economy, the hyperinflation that we are going on, the a general disgruntlement about the politicians, not just people in power. You will see the slogan, "Gota go home," but also there's a parallel slogan saying "Sajid stay home." It's very telling
Yes.
of the.
So for our Indian and other non-Sri Lankan viewers, Gota is the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and Sajid is the leader in the opposition, Sajid
Opposition.
Premadasa. But
Yeah.
like Harinda is saying, I think in drastic times calls for drastic measures, and I think President has chosen to really take these drastic steps to prune the cabinet and get rid of some of the major targets of the anger amongst the
Yeah.
people and also amongst observers and analysts. And I was in Colombo, as you know. In fact, at the invitation of Harinda, I was in Colombo last week to attend a conference. And wherever I went, one of the main points that people made was that the finance ministry has goofed up. The finance minister must go, and also the more than the finance minister, it was the central bank governor, Mr.
Yes.
Cabral,
Yes.
who has also resigned along with the other cabinet ministers. So now, do you think this anger will dissipate, Harinda, or do you think it will take some more time and some other measures to sort of overcome the pain of inflation, pain of shortages?
Yeah. I think the more worrying thing for us is to see that there were certain demands, but you can see how the political narrative is getting weaponized daily. And from so the Gota go home was more of a campaign, like a more of a slogan, but within that, the immediate, a lot of people were wanting certain changes. But now it seems like there is a narrative which is probably politically charged. You can see an entire demand for regime change that is happening, and there is a target concentrated attack on the Rajapaksa family as well. So that is a very concerning situation, because for me, I'm not concerned. It's because it's targeting somebody, but the fact that when Sri Lanka is in a economic crisis, it's politically weak, and the economy is still not, it's still not, I mean, none of these would fix the economic crisis. We are in an economic crisis, right?
Yes,
The protesters are demanding certain immediate remedies which they see as the culprits of this crisis, but we are living in middle of a crisis. So when we are, as you say, if you are nose diving already, the last thing you want to do is, you need to throttle up. So if you demand a total resignation of government, what is the alternative? You know, you
yes,
know. So provisional government probably sounds better, pragmatic in the short run. We don't have money to do elections. So if somebody is
exactly.
saying I want to run for president now, that person is pretty anti-national for me.
That's true, and I think I don't think that is the plan at all. From what we know, I think the immediate concern for the government and for its friends like India is to get the economic situation back on track, at least so that the day-to-day life is made much more easier.
Yeah, yeah.
India, as you are aware, has already extended help in terms of long-term loans, grants, and some help in worth about $2.5 billion. But I think the long-term solution to this is debt restructuring, and
Yes.
going to IMF seems to be the only possible resolution of this crisis. There was this issue of the central bank governor resisting going to the IMF, but now that he has gone, perhaps the Gotabaya Rajapaksa government has now decided that time has come to bite the bullet and go to IMF and get whatever debt restructuring can be done. Is that your sense also?
Yeah, Nitin, the thing is now you have to, the thing is the Sri Lankans have never felt the fundamental necessities, the fundamental things that we live on, like, say wheat flour, milk powder, cooking gas, even fuel, lining up for fuel for days has never been a thing in our,
Medicines are also imported. Medicines are also important.
Sri Lankan conscience is very hurt. So that is why people are on the roads. People want, immediate. So to fix all of that, we have to fix the forex crisis. The forex crisis. So there are two crises. We have a forex crisis, which we have very limited inflow of foreign exchange, and also we have a serious tranche of debt to be paid. So that means, of course, the only institution in the world that can fix it, you can borrow, you can borrow from friends from India, even you can ask from China, even go to EU, but that won't fix. Those are short term, right? So you need a structured plan where we can salvage the country's economy, get the books in order. So that can be only done through, at the moment, unfortunately or fortunately, the only existing mechanism is the IMF, and IMF has the capability to do debt restructuring, but it will come at a great cost. Sri Lankans always lived in a certain comfort zone. We had a good welfare system. You have experienced it. We have a very good free and open health system. We have huge subsidies on public transportation. So things like that, and of course a heavy public sector. There are about 40, 50 main public sector, from
Undertakings. That's
transport
true.
undertakings to water to electricity. So the IMF will immediately demand the restructuring, and
Privatization.
that probably is a very vague term for privatization. So that will create even serious political kickback. So the government has to be ready for serious turbulence. Even if you throttle up, the ride is very bumpy for at
Yes.
least a year or two.
I can see that, foresee that, like you. But let's look back a little. And I was sort of reading and meeting people and asking them for their analysis of what has gone wrong. And to my mind, it's a combination of two or three factors that has brought Sri Lanka to the current situation. One is that for 2 years there was no tourist inflow, and tourism accounts for 12% of the GDP of this beautiful island country. Second was remittances had fallen to unprecedented levels because people had lost their jobs abroad. They couldn't do anything. And then ill-timed tax cuts by President Rajapaksa to keep his poll promise. Do you think there is anything else that has contributed to this over a long period of time, where the decision makers, did not give enough attention to boosting foreign exchange
Yeah,
reserves?
I think unfortunately for President Rajapaksa, it's a long term crisis in the making, coming into fruition at his term in office. Of course, nobody can say I'm not responsible. Even this government made certain mistakes, but also the fact that 2019, starting from Easter tax was a turning point where we started serious. It was a direct impact on the tourism industry, right? And then while that was about to recover, we were hit by COVID-19. So 2020. So 2020 onwards, again COVID-19, restricted so much of movements, tourism. Again, tourism was hit, right? But also the remittances started dropping because of COVID-19, because Sri Lankans. But also, I think there's another kind of a politicized story that I want to angle to bring for remittances. Increasingly, expatriate groups of people are somewhat being like a unionized. There is a serious, political undercurrent which is preventing even existing remittance remitted at the moment. It's a mix of politicization of the expatriate community, as well as the certain measures the government and certain officials took during the COVID period, especially trying to help and so it's a kind of a foreign policy, not a foreign policy, foreign affairs blunder as well, where the foreign office could have done more for these people. So there is a disgruntlement that the state, the expatriate workers are very aware that their hard-earned money runs Sri Lanka's economy, and when you have 300 to 400 to 500 to 800 million US dollars coming in monthly, that is a, even at debt we could have run this country smoothly. So what dried up, one of the major drying up, things that dried up was these remittances. So I think one major change, one change with the immediate change of certain, hopefully, if the expatriates are happy, if the migrant workers are happy, that there is a certain change in the government, and they might start sending a little bit more money back into Sri Lanka. So even now 100 to 200 million per month would really help. We are really dried up. So
It looks like that, yes. But that's an interesting point that you make about politicization of remittances. But I think in the short term, more tourism related developments in Sri Lanka, more tourists coming in. And as I see it, India's tourists, Indian people coming to Sri Lanka in larger numbers would help in some ways, because tourism remains the biggest income earner in Sri Lanka that way. But let's hope that some of these drastic measures that are being taken will somehow ease the pain a little bit, and friends like India and China would step in to bring in
yeah,
more relief in terms
I
of
think I
diesel
think
supplies.
Nitin, just to quickly add that what Sri Lanka needs, even for tourism, is, I think, as you mentioned, India or China. We have to get our energy security back in line. You can't have tourists if the hotels can't provide you food. They can't provide
Exactly.
you air condition,
Electricity.
the
Electricity.
electricity, gas to cook the food. So I think for me always, I mean, I always keep saying, though it's a political, it's the catalyst. The energy crisis was the catalyst.
Absolutely, that's a trigger that you're talking about, and I think the government is well aware of this. From what I could gather during my stay in Colombo, let's hope things get better. Luckily, there has been no violence, and hopefully, the government will also refrain from targeting people unnecessarily. Although emergency powers have been now conferred on the government through the proclamation of emergency, but given the fact that Sri Lankans are protesting for a legitimate cause, the government should be able to handle them and do not just cosmetic changes, but do some serious restructuring of the governance structure as well as of the financial situation. Thank you very much, Harinda, for that insight. You actually gave a very good roundup of what's happening, and the fact that you mentioned
Within
energy
just
crisis in the trigger.
short time, the government is also under pressure from international audiences as well. Human rights. It can't afford, even if one death of a protester will have a huge
That's right.
impact on the government.
That's right. No, and you are a security expert, so you know all that. But
Yeah.
here, I think the government has to be very careful. You're right, absolutely. But we are running short of time. We will have more occasions to come back to you.
Right.
But as I said, thank you very much for that insight and talking about the trigger that has now manifested or sort of triggered the current crisis
Yeah.
in Sri Lanka. Hopefully, things will be better next time when we sort of join
We will
this
talk.
program or have this program. Thank you once again for joining, and do keep in touch, and let us know if we can do something here. Viewers, do keep watching Strat News Global, your one-stop shop for foreign policy and international relations, and a neighborhood watch as far as South Asia is concerned. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel. You've helped us cross the 100,000 mark last week, or even in fact last month, I would say. And do help us get more subscribers. Do keep sending comments and feedback. We welcome them, and that will help us mount some new programs and maybe improve the current programming that we do on Strat News Global. For the moment, it's goodbye.